on, guys. Portland Live is official. Thanks for coming on. Nice. Welcome everybody in the studio audience. Welcome everybody at home on Facebook. This is Portland Live. This is an opportunity to feature all of our creative media makers, creative entrepreneurs, comedians, musicians, all the people who make this city excellent. And I have got a great list of guests today. And I want this to be just a beautiful representation of what Portland has to offer amongst all of its creativity. So my first guest is the owner of Y East Wolfpack, the founder, and he's changing the landscape of Portland one step at a time. So, Sexy Marvin, can you please introduce Willie McBride? Woo!
Got some great music here.
Thank you. I'm going to crack one open. This is a
Cheers.
celebration.
Yes.
Episode 1. Willie, thank you for being here. You represent something magical for me because when I first moved to Portland, I discovered Portland by foot while running. You know, we are the home of Nike, and there's this huge legacy of runners in Portland and in Oregon as a whole. But what you're doing is very unique. And I think you have some great mental grounding to why you do it and why you bring it to the population. So you work with runners at all levels, from beginners to some of the most elite runners that I've had the pleasure of being introduced to. So won't you tell me the origin stories of the Y East Wolfpack?
All right, throwing it back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So I think I always struggled with trying to find a career that was meaningful to me, that I, felt like did something good for the world and didn't take away from it. And so over time, I, sort of dabbled in different things, and some I liked and got good experiences from, and others I passed on. But so I wanted to do something meaningful, and I worked with my hands for a long time as a carpenter, and that was really enjoyable. But I think I realized the reason I was a carpenter was because I had a lot of anxiety, and I actually wasn't really pushing myself past that. It was holding me back in certain ways. Mm-hmm. Actually, like when I was in middle school, I started an outing club, and so I've definitely had an instinct to help people come together and organize and go outside and be active in all this. But after college for a while, that sort of went dormant for a while as I was a carpenter. But I could feel it sort of coming. It was going to be resurgent at some point. So over time, through my various experiences, I was still all through those years doing tons of outdoor sports and climbing and really evolving into a runner myself. And so then I moved to Portland, and it was sort of, I could feel the career change was upon me. And so, of course, like you said, this town is so ripe with creativity and awesome people and really welcoming vibe and supportive vibe. So I came here and just immediately felt like I'd really come to the right place. And so that was about 6 years ago. And so I reached out to a wonderful individual named Yassine Daboun, who's my business partner now and one of my dearest friends. So he was already a renowned runner and trail runner and ultra runner, which means distances beyond 26 miles, which is a classic marathon. So I reached out to him because I had started ultra marathoning in my previous home before this, and so I wanted to continue that and meet like-minded people. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to him, and of course he was just one of the most open and welcoming people I'd ever met.
I've met the man. He's pretty amazing.
He's very special dude. So yeah, he immediately was like, as soon as you come to town, hit me up. Here's my number, all this. So then it was sort of a cool story, but I was in Forest Park, the beloved Forest Park, my very first day in town. Before we'd actually met up in person, we'd been emailing. Mm-hmm. And I was going up Wild Cherry Trail up to the junction with Wildwood there. Yeah. And I looked up and saw him run by, and we did a double take, and It's like, really?
Oh, you met in
You
the
see?
woods.
We met in the woods on trail.
That's a beautiful story.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was really the culmination. We had laid some groundwork before that, but that was the first time laying eyes in reality. So.
And since then, you've created like a community, community of runners. You work with corporations to get people active and moving on their feet. Tell me a bit about the importance and what that means to you. People moving and using their bodies.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that and phrasing it that way, because so we've always struggled with this in a way, but then also used it as an asset. Is that we do all this gnarly stuff and have done these crazy things, but really, first and foremost, it's not about that at all. Those can be rewarding, and
you're talking about the long distance.
Long distance.
Let's specify your gnarly stuff.
The sort of extreme type things, these
Yeah.
ultra marathons, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes down to it, and you boil it all down, it's about moving.
Yeah.
Like I said, thank you for using that word. It's about finding a way to move your body. That's like the enemy is being stagnant. That's why sitting at a desk all day and that sort of office culture is hopefully, becoming a thing of the past slightly. And something we're trying to help with is change the corporate culture of wellness and allowing people more time to get out of their desks and move. And of course, it's like we emphasize fresh air. So
yeah,
we do classes all over town at these different corporations and offices, and whenever possible, of course, I'm trying to get people outside.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like anytime you can get outside breathing fresh air, it's emotional release, it's therapy, it's so many positive things that in the end, if you're looking at it from a business perspective, is really going to help your bottom line.
Totally, yeah.
Help the person along the way, which is more important.
Yeah. Now tell me about the name Y East.
Yeah, so Y East is the Native American name for Mount Hood.
Yes.
Which is our local, wonderful, beloved mountain. Very iconic. So yeah, we really use that word because we wanted to reference, the native people who are here. I think in general we have a lot of reverence for those cultures and the people who were here before us, and people who were sort of a little more in touch with nature and who are a little more in touch with the land and the animals. And so not to glorify Native American culture or anything, but I think it emphasizes originality of something that's been here, something that again worked with the land instead of against it, which sometimes in our modern times seems like we're not always working with the land.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And recently there's been a nice little movement within the Y East Wolfpack, the Y East Sisterhood. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about the Y East Sisterhood?
Yeah, another very exciting thing. So the Y East Sisterhood is an all-women's group, an all-women's sort of section of the Y East family. So it evolved very naturally, organically. We had tons of women who were working with us already. So we do coaching and training as well as corporate wellness and all this. So we had tons of female clients and really inspiring women of all levels, a lot of different ages who were, just doing really incredible things. And a lot of them met through our community and became really close friends. And so it was just very visible to see this network of women who then ran together on weekends and did all sorts of different adventures. Mm-hmm. And so it just sort of seemed like there was enough momentum there, and I think also really a sign of the troubled times we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think like really everything I do, the business included, it all goes back to it's a political statement.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to find something meaningful. I wanted to find something that hopefully is doing something. So if that means providing a platform for women to organize and network and get together and strengthen that community, then that's something we want to do.
That's absolutely beautiful. And you've been, you have a pretty heavy event schedule. So you do a few runs throughout the week. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a bit about that schedule?
Yeah, so besides all these corporate things and whatnot, we have a Monday night workout. And again, these are all outside, which is the philosophy of rain or shine, get outside, embrace the weather, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. So there's a Monday evening workout I do, there's a Thursday morning Yassine does, and then we have a Thursday night group run. It's really developed nicely. There's tons of nice people out there, sort of 10 to 30 people range.
Yeah.
Every Thursday we rotate locations around town, and tons of great spots to eat and drink. So we always start and end at a bar or restaurant.
Yeah, so you're pretty in tune with your running skills, and like you said, you do some pretty gnarly things with your extreme long distance mileage. For those of us who aren't getting the miles in, tell me about some of like the first steps that some people could take.
Definitely. So one of the things we emphasize most of all is mental training.
Yeah.
And not only mental training, but just the mental aspect to all these things. So one of the first things we tell people is leave your ego at the trailhead. So trail running is sort of a misnomer in that you're not always running. And it's sort of as simple as that.
Yeah.
That it's really just not accurate.
Yeah.
So the more up and down you do, which trails typically involve some ups and downs, and a lot of times people really seek out more elevation gain and loss because it's fun.
Yeah.
But the more you do that, the more hiking just becomes a part of it.
Yeah.
And really the beautiful thing is once you practice hiking, anything you practice you get better at. So if you practice hiking and really try to improve that skill, you can often hike past somebody up a hill who's trying to run.
Yeah.
So really it's not like, we say it's not just a break. It's not like you're, oh man, I can't run anymore, I'm defeated, I have to hike up the hill. It's like, you can just switch gears and hike even faster than you're running and really make it incredibly strenuous, but you're hiking. So
yeah.
So that's really the main thing is like, don't just forget about pace.
Yeah.
Get out of your head. Don't think about other people.
It's kind of a competition, with yourself more than anything else. It's in order to grow, like you first have to get out there.
Yeah, although I would take the word competition out of it because I think, that's sort of the danger of Strava culture and all this is people constantly recording and sharing their runs and all these things, and it's like, yeah, that can be great and that can be a good tool, but sometimes that just puts you in this comparative mindset too much.
Yeah.
Or, that can be damaging at any level, but I think especially if you're getting into it and, dipping your toe in the water, it's like, don't be worried about comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Just get out there. And I think that's really the power of trail running is you feel that, once you get outside, even if it's once or twice, like when you're on a trail, like, oftentimes you really feel a connection. So it's a very exciting thing to see people make that transformation as well and embrace those outdoor spaces.
Willie, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Before you leave, let my audience know here in the studio and here on Facebook how they could reach you if they want to reach out.
Excellent. So we have a website, which is wyeastwolfpack.com, and Wyeast is WYEAST. We're on Instagram, of course, at wyeastwolfpack. My personal Instagram is the Willie G McBride, Willie with an IE. Yeah, reach out to us. You can always send us an email, getafterit at wyeastwolfpack.com. We love hearing from people and giving advice and sharing the love.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks for
so
coming
much.
in.
Take care.
Sexy Marvin, take it away. So my next guest is a comedian. She's tearing up the comedy stores here in Portland, and I'm really happy to have her on the first day here at Portland Live. Ali Reingold, thanks for coming out.
Hello. Hi everyone, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be here on the first inaugural show of Portland Live. I want to tell you a little bit about me. My name's Allie. I am 32 years old, and I've lived in Portland for almost a decade now, but I didn't grow up here. I grew up in a small, fairly conservative town in rural Pennsylvania. And I was a smart kid growing up. So already you should be feeling sorry for me. Because if you didn't know, a lot of people in rural towns aren't super gung-ho about knowledge. You know, they don't want the liberals to ruin their party with their fact-based science. So this was a town where we would get days off of school for the beginning of hunting season. That's true. So the homework would be like chapter 12 in your algebra textbook and smear the blood of an innocent doe on your face and feel the glory of the gun. Meanwhile, I was reading Barbara Kingsolver at age 11 and getting very excited to do the cryptograms in my dad's games magazine. So I was doomed. I was this skinny little gifted kid, and I went through puberty kind of on the later side, but I was already young for my grades, so I was that much more behind everybody else in terms of boobs. So all the other girls had already become, you know, bitches. And there I was learning my past participles with the same gusto that the popular girl was masturbating with a broom. Or so we heard. That was the rumor. And then, in the 8th grade, I decided to get my hair cut short. Very short. And my mom let me, because she is a horrible person. 8th grade, of course, being the most important time of your life to have long hair if you were a girl and want to conform to the gender and heteronormative culture of middle school, which of course you do. Conformity is the name of the game when you're 13, right? The name of the game is not interesting differences. No. And I should point out, this haircut was not me trying to come out or rebel or make a statement. No, none of that. Pretty sure I genuinely thought, hey, you know what would look good? The haircut of a pubescent Jewish boy. Right here on top of my head. Yeah, just a short curly mop. Will definitely make Charlie Weaver ask me to dance at the activity night. Alas, he did not. In fact, Charlie Weaver would go on to impregnate the broom masturbator several years out of high school. That is absolutely true. So I guess I dodged a baby on that one. Which is for the best, to be honest. That worked out for me in the end. So that's how I grew up. Another fun fact about me, I'm half Jewish. Maybe you could tell from the clues on my face. Half Jewish. So growing up, my family would celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas, although we'd always kind of half-ass the Hanukkah part. Like at first, when I was really young, we did the whole thing full on, 8 nights of presents, fucking sweet. But as the years went by, the presents kind of petered out until one year we were like, well, the menorah's all the way in the basement. Do we even want to bother with it? So we kind of made a collective agreement as a family that Judaism wasn't worth a trip down the stairs. And I like to think that God had a similar thought. He was like, I guess I could just go down there and prove to everyone I exist. But it's kind of shitty out. Yeah, fuck it. I think I'll just stay in tonight. Keep playing Fallout. That's what God's doing up there, right? He's just sitting on his butt playing video games, right? What else is he doing? Like, have you ever wondered why there's so many lazy people out there in the world? It's because God created us in his image. He's a big old lazy fuck. That's what happened there. So that's how I grew up. As I said, I've now been in Portland for about 10 years. I think by now I consider myself a good Portlander because I bike everywhere. Ride my bike everywhere. Biked here tonight. And you probably know if you live here that Portland drivers are terrible, right? They're the worst. because they're really passive. It's just the worst. But every once in a while, you do come across a driver who's actually just aggressive. Kind of refreshing. So this happened to me the other day. I was biking up to this intersection, and this car came zooming past me very aggressively. They honked their horn, clearly displeased. I was like, geez, sorry. Didn't mean to hinder your progress towards this red light. It was a red light. I was like, okay, there's no reason you need to get to this red light faster. And then I was like, well, hold up, Allie. You don't know them. Maybe they do. Like, what if, for example, you discovered a portal into another world? Okay, stay with me. Has anyone here read the Golden Compass trilogy? Those books?
Yeah!
Yeah? Yeah! Okay, they're great books. If you haven't read them, you should read them. They're great. But in the second book, the main character discovers that there are these windows that lead into other worlds, like a rip in the atmosphere that goes into a parallel universe. So what if you discovered one of these windows at this intersection, and somehow you figured out that it was connected to the traffic light? So whenever the light was red, the portal opened. And whenever the light changed, the portal closed, right?
Okay.
So you go through into this other world, and it's totally awesome. There's like cheese growing on the trees. But it's good cheese. It's like smoked Gouda and Manchego and some kind of triple cream. And the branches are crackers. So you can just hang out and eat good cheese. And then this guy comes along and starts hanging out. He's cute, and he's funny, he's got nice forearms. You're totally hitting it off. And then you look at the time, you're like, shit, I gotta go. I have an appointment back in my world. It's my annual pap smear. And he's like, okay. And you're like, I don't know why I told you that. That was an unnecessary detail. And he's like, no, I think women's reproductive health is really important. And you're like, well, this guy is just fucking it. And he's like, well, we should hang out and eat cheese again sometime. And you're like, we should eat a lot of things. And then you're like, oh my God, what am I saying? But it's fine because he finds you to be delightful and charming, which you are. So you make a date. Then you run off to your pap smear, and then like a week later, you're hanging out at your house just eating spoonfuls of peanut butter out of the jar, because you do that sometimes. And you realize you're late for your date, and you're like, shit, what am I doing? I'm late for my date, I need to get there, and you're a good Portlander because you don't have a car, you bike everywhere, so you have to run to your roommate. You're like, hey, I'm late for my date, I need to get there, can you give me a ride? And he's like, okay, I'll give you a ride, where do we need to go? And you're like, the intersection of 6th and Burnside, but you have to get me there when the light is red. Huh? So what I'm saying is, if you are zooming past me to get to a red light, if it's because you have to jump out of the car, jump through the portal before it closes to meet a hot guy for a date in Cheese World, I get it. Go! Godspeed. I mean, I'm rooting for you. But if that's not why you're doing that, fuck you. So that's what it's like to bike around Portland. I am still looking for my dream man in a world full of cheese. Hasn't quite happened yet. I've been looking, I've been trying to date, I've been doing the online thing. Anyone else? No. Yeah. It's terrible. I think we can all agree. I do have a question for the men out there who have done online dating. Fellas, what's going through your head when you're on Tinder or OkCupid, whatever, and you send a woman a message that says, let's hump?
Oh.
And that's it. I mean, there's no apostrophe in the let's, there's no period after the hump. Just, let's hump. Are you anticipating a positive response? Are you thinking some woman's gonna get your message and be like, oh, this guy
That's the hope.
seems like someone I could fall in love with? Yeah, that's evident from the message. Sure like to hump him. Is that what you're thinking? Or, I don't know, maybe you saw on her profile that she does stand-up comedy and you wanted to give her some new material, in which case, good job, you nailed it. I did get that message once, that's true. Another time I got one that said, I'd love to kiss those lips of yours. And yours was spelled Y-O-U-R''S. Now, complete lack of punctuation, I kind of get. You know, someone's just like, fuck it, whatever, tappa, 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 no time to punctuate, there's humping to be done. But inserting punctuation is an intentional choice. So what happened? Maybe he was like, well, I left the apostrophe out of the let's hump message, so I'd better make up for it now. Apostrophes everywhere! I don't know. But the best message I've ever received, this was on OkCupid, it said this, verbatim, said, tell me, have you dated well-established older man in his 40s? I am Marcelo. Pretty good. And in case you didn't catch that, he did indeed write well-established. I thought to myself, yeah, I have been looking for a well-established older man. I hope he has high self-esteem and drives a Escalade. I can only imagine the kind of escapades we'll embark on. But with a name like Marcelo, he's gotta have the goods, right? So I humped him. Sometimes you gotta hump. I got one more story for you. So, my dating life is not going that great, if you couldn't tell. But I did recently hook up with someone. Thank you so much. Thank you. And here's what happened. We were doing some things, and at one point he exclaimed, rather angrily, he said, "Why won't you come?" Yeah. He said that. I was like, "It is to test your patience, my child. You must pass this test of endurance before you can enter the secret cave." Just kidding, I didn't say that. That would be weird. I didn't say that, but it was funny to me how angry he was, right? Why won't you come? As if it were my fault. As if I had the ability to come at any point, but was withholding my orgasm just to spite him. Like, oh, I could, but I won't. He was like someone who paints a picture and then they're like, why doesn't this look like a cloud? It's like, well, because you painted it orange and green at the bottom of the canvas and you made it all angular. Like, that's not how you paint a cloud. Maybe next time use gentler strokes. Make some more circular motions with your brush. Yes. A little bit higher up on the canvas, you know what I mean? Why doesn't it look like a cloud? Because that's how you painted it, you dumb shit. Maybe you suck at painting. So I usually have to paint my own clouds. Works every time. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allie. That was fantastic. What a ridiculously awesome show, I think. This was our first episode. This was kind of like a ragtag. We thought about it a month ago, did it. We're going to do it every Monday at 9 o'clock. Come on out. Lost in Portland's got some great events coming out for you. February 14th, Valentine's Day. We have a singles party happening at Conquistador. I hope you all come out. The event page is lower on the Facebook page if you want to take a look at that. Also, thank you, Allie, for coming out. Thank you. Thank you, Willie, for coming out. This has been such an awesome opportunity. I'm so excited for this to grow. Sexy Marvin, take us out.